Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for the real deal with Student Pro Connect. Student Pro Connect is a social networking website and app where students, professionals, and entrepreneurs can connect, network, and share their experiences with one another. Every segment, we feature someone who's going through their journey, whether they're a student, they're a professional, or an entrepreneur. They are sharing their journeys with us and giving us insight and great advice. If you haven't done so already, please sign up on Student Pro Connect by either going to our website, www.studentproconnect.com, or you can download the app, which is available in Google Play and the App Store. Now, without further ado, I am so excited to introduce our guest for this evening. We are kicking off our Entrepreneurs Spotlight series. And tonight we have with us a photographer. She's been in business for about 3 years now. So please join me in welcoming Norma Jozil.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Yes, so thank you for joining us tonight, taking the time to be with us and just kind of give us, just give us a snapshot of what it's like to be an entrepreneur, especially nowadays with
Yeah.
everything that we've been through. I'm sure the struggle is real.
Yeah.
So
Very.
exactly. So, no sugarcoating, right? We are
Yeah.
keeping it real.
hmm
So, I guess first and foremost, how did you get interested in photography?
Okay. So my story, I've loved taking pictures since about high school. I'll give it to high school. I want to say beforehand with the not the digital, the disposable cameras. So
Hmm.
I loved it from then. And high school, I had albums upon albums upon albums. I went to college for dance. And then I was like, let me pursue something that's going to turn into a job. So I
Hmm.
didn't go to school for photography, but I still loved it. So now, fast forward, post college, working at a school, working with the DOE, which I love, working with kids. I still
Hmm.
taking photos. And then one of my best friends, he goes, no, I see way too many untalented people with no eye taking photos. He's like, no, you should do this. And I said, you're right. Like, literally, that's how the conversation went. So I started researching on how to really flip this into a business. So
Hmm.
I started an LLC.
Hmm.
I got a professional camera first, and then I started just playing around with that, taking that to events, seeing
Hmm.
how I could really maneuver with this. And then I just started really following. Social media was a big help with that. I started following other photographers, and I'm seeing what they do, and I'm seeing how they really immerse themselves in it. So I started doing the same thing. So I started LLC in about 2018.
Hmm.
And from there, I just been trying to not leech on, but follow and get a mentor to follow around to really show me the ropes on how to really do this and how to connect with customers and how to connect with clients and how to really get my name out there. So that's what I did. And I said, I just need to.
That's amazing. And I think there's so many things that you said there that I think I want to just pull out. So
Okay.
first and foremost, I think it's great that you mentioned that, you didn't go to school for it.
I
Why? Because there's the probably misconception that there's no money in it.
Oh yeah.
Now, having, I mean, looking back on that, has your view changed?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Now, would you, if
Absolutely.
you had to redo it, would you have gone back to
I
school?
would have. I would have definitely gone to school. I remember I wanted to go to school for photography, and like a lot of my family was like, "Why don't you do something that you could actually make a
Yeah.
career out of?" And I
Yeah.
guess back then the stigma, West Indian parents, they
Yes.
don't really see it. They don't see
Absolutely.
a photographer. They just see someone like in the grunt work,
Taking
really
pictures.
doing the grunt work, not really making a career out of it. You're just kind of
Yes.
helping someone out, and they don't
Yes.
really see a career in pictures. But
Yes. That is so true. And I think it goes to with all the arts for that matter.
that's
It
true.
kind of look
Very
they
true.
kind of that there's that stigma attached to it. And I'm sure I mean you're obviously functioning business 3 years in and you're making
Yeah.
money from it. So it's obviously it's you're making
Yeah.
money from
Yeah.
it. The other thing I want to pull out that you said, so you're also working.
Oh yes,
So you have a day job.
I
So
do have a day job.
how does that work? How are you able to juggle both?
A lot of weekends. I already know like any job that I pull, I do like after I work at a school. So it's actually not too bad. It's not like a 9 to 6. It's more like an 8 to 2.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and then I have summers off. So
Mhm.
summers I really go hard. And then school holidays and everything like that. So I love working with the special ed kids, but and it also gives me so much free time. Not
Mhm.
free time. I'm lying. It gives me time like in
Mhm.
the evenings and on the weekends to
Mhm.
really push it, push it, push it, push it.
Mhm.
So that's how I do it. And I was like, I like the stability of a job because I'm only 3 years in, and sometimes it does take a long
Yeah.
time to really get your name out there, to really get a niche.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? To really get your foot in the
Yes.
door for a certain type of genre, like even whether it be events or weddings, or
Yes.
I specialize in newborn shoots. Like, you know what I mean? It's really hard
Yes.
to get your, because there's so many.
Yes. There's so many
Not to
different
step on
types.
anybody, but there's so many.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a
And
very saturated. So how do you, it's a saturated market. So how do you stick out? How do you make yourself known? Like, how does
my
that work?
mentor told me, he was like, just make yourself consistent. And
Yeah.
that whole thing about constantly posting, constantly
Yes.
posting, that
Yes.
social media platform is a
Yes.
real deal. Because a lot of people, I got
Mhm.
not recognized, but a lot of people reach out through there, and it's word of
Mhm.
mouth, and it's this. So that's how I've been connecting with a lot of people. It's
Mhm.
like word of mouth, which is good, which
Yes,
is,
I was gonna say that's probably no, they say word of mouth is the most powerful and
it
probably
is.
yeah,
It is.
yeah,
Because everyone's like, oh, your stuff looks great, but is it even your stuff? There's no way to trust it.
yeah,
But if your friend said, oh, I used
yeah,
her, I have a
yes,
job coming up in 2 weeks, who was the neighbor of a family that I took pictures of. She's like,
yes.
she sent me the pictures of her family. And that's the
Mhm.
only reason why she knows me.
You
So,
see, you
but
see,
word of mouth. And
yes, yes.
coincidentally, I took a picture for a family back in September,
Mm-hmm.
whose sister found me online. So
Wow.
that's how that happened. See, and then it snowballs.
Yes. Then this
A
person
woman
tells
found
that.
me online. She saw my
Yes.
website and she was like, "Oh, I liked it. It looked really good." So she took a chance.
Mhm.
She bought me a photo shoot for her family as a gift for her sister. So her sister has nothing to do. She never saw me or anything like that. From there, her neighbor called. And then from there, I got somebody
There
else.
you go.
And I
There
was
you
like, so it
go.
snowballs. Word of mouth is really
Yes.
a powerful tool. Yeah.
Yes. Now you mentioned a mentor.
Oh yeah, that was.
So that was
Oof.
going to be one of my questions was, were mentors helpful along the way? So
Oh
first
yeah.
of all, how do you even find a mentor for
This was a
photography?
complete fluke. And that was God's divine intervention. I had to be, because the story of how I met this man, I went to a bridal expo,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just there. It was a friend, a friend's niece. She's like, "Oh, I'm doing." She styles weddings,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be the jewelry, the dress. She doesn't like design dresses, but she helps brides pick out dresses to go with the decor, to go with.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many vendors. She's like, just come take pictures of all the vendors.
Mm-hmm.
This guy David, he was there as a mentor to another man who was hired to do the event, to do the whole event. I was there to just like for a specific few vendors. So
Mm-hmm.
I just got to talking with this man. He's like, "Yeah, I've been doing weddings for 30 years and such and
Wow.
such." So I asked him, because I'm not comfortable talking to strangers. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not at all. So it's like every time I go to an event, my friends are like, make sure you speak to people. I'm like, no, you
Yes.
just speak to
Network.
people.
Network.
Networking is
Yes.
my
And that's what you found him.
Achilles heel. You have to. So I'm like,
Yes.
okay, I will network. So when I spoke to him, I think I had a business card at that time. And
Mm.
this was maybe 4 months in to me
Wow.
being professional. And so I shadowed my photography friends on their
Mhm.
jobs, and I've done things like
Mhm.
that, like little things, but not like on my own. So with him, he
Mhm.
was like, well, I like to take people under my wing. And he said, it's harder to take men under your wing, which is true. Because there's some men who reach a
Mhm.
certain age and they're like, well, you know what? I've seen it on YouTube. I know what I'm doing. And then you can't
Yes.
tell them anything. So it's like they want to do it the way they want to do it, but they
Yes.
don't hear anybody. And I
Yes.
was like, no, at this point in the game, I'm a sponge. I'm absorbing
Yes.
all I can. So he's
Yes.
like, cool. He called me up. He's like, would you want to shadow me on a wedding? This went on and on and on for like 6 months. I went to weddings in Jersey and New
Wow.
York and out in Long Island, all over the tri-state with him,
Wow.
because he's been doing weddings for 30 years, and he does like seminars, and he always takes people under his wing. So this guy was teaching me
Mhm.
camera technique, how to hold the camera, where you need to stand and why you need to stand there. For example, he wanted to do an engagement shoot in Brooklyn,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just in the middle of the street. It was just beautiful in the brownstones and all of that. I said,
Mm.
okay. But I'm like, oh, it's going to be like on a day where there's nobody around. He's like, no. And that's where I'm going to put you in the deep end. He's like, you
Mm.
need to get beautiful shots of this couple at the same time. You need
Blocking
to
everything else
position your
out.
body, blocking everything
Yes.
out, and
Yes.
go. And I said,
wow. So
so
you
he's like,
help
no,
out
you got
with
to know what you got to do. And it's
that
like, if you
great
have someone to
mentor.
teach you, when you
Yes.
have someone to teach you and you really get the ropes. And that was really, really good. So I do definitely
Yeah.
recommend finding a mentor.
Yeah. So passion is not enough. Just to love it.
Yeah, passion is not enough because
Yes.
I love it. But
Yes.
then when I really said, you know what, I could do this,
Mm-hmm.
the things I learned in the first month, I was like, do what? And then do what now? And then what now?
Mm.
The marketing, the getting you're getting your name out there,
Yes.
really branding yourself the way you want to be seen. Oh, all
Yes.
those little technical things
So
made me consider.
let me ask you this. So how long did it take before, I mean, how long would you say it took for your name to get out there? Or like, people actually started, calling you for jobs or getting in touch with you. When did that start happening? How soon?
Without me like, oh, you might want to consider me. You might want to consider me. Like people are just finding me. I'd
Yeah,
say about a year. About a year.
yeah. So without you actually having to go out and fetch people, when
Yeah,
people started
yeah.
contacting you after a year's time.
Yeah, I'd say about a year. People were like, "Oh, I saw your website. I saw your website."
Interesting.
Email campaigning.
That
Yeah,
was going to be my next question. So what marketing tools do you use to put yourself out there?
definitely Instagram for sure. Instagram and Facebook, which is connected, and then I do a lot of email campaigning, which I don't. I'm not into like buying email lists because I
Mm-hmm.
see that a lot where you can buy
Mm-hmm.
lists where it just gives you 500, 600 emails, but
Mm-hmm.
then people are just going to go to spam, spam, spam. So I do a lot of email. I want to say mostly Instagram.
Okay.
Mostly Instagram.
So you don't buy
No,
stuff.
I don't buy people's emails because I
Yeah,
feel like if I get a random email from someone I don't know, I'm not likely to click on it.
that's
But if
true.
it's a name that I remember going in passing, I might click on it. But
Got
other
it.
than that, I personally think, oh, this is going to send a bug to my computer, and now it's gonna. So I just exit out right away.
Got it. Got it.
So
Now
yeah, a
are
lot of Instagram.
now are you able to handle everything on your own, or do you have like assistants? Do you have a partner? Or is this a one-man show?
I have a partner, but it's for the most part, it's a one man show.
Okay.
The
So
one
when
man.
you actually go out there and do the shoots, it's you by yourself.
Yes,
Wow.
I do have some upcoming things where I'm going to need a second shooter. That's
Okay.
where my partner's going to have to come in. Yeah.
How do you determine that? Based on how big it is, or?
Based on how big it is, and like I already know it's a wedding that I have coming up in 2 months, and you want to get the bride, you want to get the groom. You can't run back and forth. You're gonna
Mm,
miss something, and you don't want to miss anything. You'd rather have to like throw out photos or delete photos that you
of
don't need,
course.
as opposed to like, oh, I wasn't even there for it.
Got it.
So
Got
while the grooms and the groomsmen's getting ready, I want to be with the bride and the bridesmaids. So
got
I
it.
know that part for sure. And
Okay.
then the reception, you could cover the bases area, like
Got
that
it.
easier.
Got it. So what is most challenging?
Editing.
Okay. So it's actually not going out there and snapping the shots and taking the
No,
photos.
no.
Okay. So
I
it's
thought that would be, but
yeah.
I find that I thought that would be. I was like, oh, I have to get this and I have to get that and I have to get this. Oh, my camera's not set right, and it's like I'm gonna feel frazzled. But I guess
Hmm.
after like you get the hang of it, that's not the hard part. The hard because when you get in your zone, like for me, when I get in my zone and I have a camera in my hand, I know what I'm looking for. So,
Mm.
and then I found like a lot of people were very responsive to that. Like, where'd you even see to take that? And they're like, why are you over there? Why are you in that corner? Because there's so many. I trust my angles and I trust my eye.
Hmm.
That's something that I've definitely grown into. I trust my eye. So it's
Hmm.
a matter of lighting. Those things kind of trip you up. The lighting will kind of trip you up, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, the editing. You want to
Hmm.
be able to fix something. Um, Hair, like little itty bitty things that you don't think are a problem. I notice now. So, and it
The
sometimes it takes
smallest things
the
in the picture.
smallest thing. And there was a mom whose hair, like the wind blew at the wrong time, and her hair was the only thing that it didn't go across her face, but it was just like it was very noticeable. And it's like getting every individual hair. was killing me. And it's like, oh, and you have to zoom in, and
No,
I'm gonna go blind trying to
I
do it.
was, do you think other people would notice it, or do you
I
think it's
think when
you?
it's your picture, you know how people.
Yes.
That's how I'm thinking. Like if I see a picture of me and everyone's like, "Oh, it looks great," I'm like, "Well, what's wrong with that?" That I don't
Yes.
want anyone to look at their photo that they
Got
purchased for me and they're like, "Why do I look like that?"
got it.
So
Got it. Now, what would you have done differently, if anything?
if
In
any,
terms of setting up the business or just, how you're functioning, would you have changed anything?
I think, well, because I didn't go to school for business, I
Mm-hmm.
think I would have paused and
Mm-hmm.
maybe got someone to help me with that setup because I
Mm-hmm.
kind of did it all on my own because I didn't know any better. But setting up my website, setting up my
Mm-hmm.
actually becoming an LLC and actually doing all those little things, the business banking, the separate from
Mm-hmm.
exactly the tax part of it, like all those little things, the
Yes.
business insurance. That was a big thing that came up
Wow.
recently. I didn't find out recently, but I kind of knew. They're like, you don't necessarily need insurance right away. You can work,
Mm-hmm.
like, if you're kind of doing it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to doing bigger jobs and bigger things, you're not allowed to be a photographer in people's venues if you're not insured under your own insurance. So you
Mm.
have to have a separate business insurance. I found that out a while ago, but that came up recently, and I was like, oh, thank goodness that
Thank
I
God you
remembered
got it.
that. Like,
Thank
yeah,
God you.
so all these little things, and it's costly. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I'll tell people. All these little things cost, and things that you have to have implemented. You
Mm-hmm.
need to have these little steps in place. Everything costs something.
Wow.
So
Now,
yeah,
are these costs that are like, are they constant, or is it like a
yeah,
one
like yearly, like yearly.
yearly? So they're constant fees. And
Yeah,
even
keeping your
marketing,
business current, huh?
marketing, do you have to
Yeah,
pay for
marketing, keeping
anything?
your business current, your like if you have a website, keeping your domain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, all those things are yearly. Yearly.
Okay. Now, how long are you out there on the field for? Like, what, give us an idea of like, what does your day look like on the job? Like out there doing
Part
a shoot.
parties on a Saturday usually are in the evening. So it's like a 4 hour for the event, which I say 4 hours and I get a
Yeah.
certain set price for that, but I'm really there for like 6 because I like to get there an hour ahead.
Mm-hmm.
What time the event actually starts, and I'm usually there a little bit longer because you don't want to miss any of the really great stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
the photographer was there for when she came out and for a few of the great dances, but then when they cut the cake, she was already left. You know what I mean? I
Ah,
don't want to like you don't want to have to give
yes.
somebody back a digital album and it's like miss
Got
the
it.
whole second half. So
Got it.
I am about out there in the field for about 5 hours,
Got
editing 4 days.
got it. Got
Well,
it.
that's because I work. That's why.
Now, I guess being in the service space, because you're providing a service, there's difficult customers
Yes.
sometimes.
Yes,
How
there
do
are.
you deal with that? And I mean, I'm sure you
Yes.
come across it.
Oh yeah. Um, it's a lot of you just got to remember, how would I feel? So I'm just being as nice as possible until somebody gets nasty. But that's just more my personality.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be as nice as possible and be as understanding as you can. But then you could catch it when someone is just being difficult for the sake of being difficult and
Mm-hmm.
being complaining because their personalities like that, and they
Yes.
are who they are. But
Yeah.
if I realized ahead of time with one particular customer, she was not going to be happy no matter what I did. I
Mm-hmm.
just give her money back for that case.
Got
That's
it.
not usually the case. This was a small thing. She ordered prints. She didn't like
Mm-hmm.
the prints. I paid
Mm-hmm.
myself out of pocket to have them reprinted from a different printer. Oh, these are light. These are too dark.
She
These are
didn't.
too
She
like I was
didn't.
like, you're just not gonna be happy. It's not gonna
Yes.
be happy. I
Yes.
said, well, then you just give me back all the prints. And she's like,
Exactly.
no problem. See,
Gotcha.
I'm like, she wasn't gonna be happy no matter what you said. She just wanted to be right in what she said. So
Exactly.
that was some circumstance. But most people are doable, workable.
Got
But there's a few, you're gonna come across it. I'm always prepared. I'm
Yes.
always
Yeah.
prepared to be like,
Got it.
ma'am.
Now, next thing is, so you're 3 years in now.
Yeah.
So, what are your hopes for the future? Like, where do you see, your photography business going? What are your ambitions for it? Because obviously you're growing. Thank God you're still here. You
Yeah,
know, you made it through the pandemic.
I did. I did,
Right? When there were
surprisingly,
no
when there
events.
was no events to be
Well,
had.
actually, I should actually, how did you deal with that before I even?
Look, God willing, I kept my job. I had my job. So
Yes.
for as far as photos go, I did not have as much. I
Yeah.
did a couple in house. It was very, very, very limited. At one point, I wasn't taking any pictures
Yes.
at all. It was just
Yeah.
pictures of my son, but
Mhm.
just home pictures. And I was doing what I did to keep myself sane was I was taking shoots, not paid for shoots. I was just doing shoots
Mhm.
outside with my child, with my friends, kids, and everything like that to keep
Mhm.
myself calm
Yes.
and just to
Yeah.
keep myself like with my hand on the
So you don't
on the hand on
lose
the
it.
camera
So you don't lose
so that
it.
I don't lose it and so that I could just keep my love for it. Like not like oh, let me throw my
Yes.
camera to the wayside. But my
Yeah.
camera, it missed me. It didn't get much work during
And
the pandemic.
that also gave you shots too that you could
I
post.
gave me shots and then
Yeah.
I was posting a lot of things where it's like, little
Yeah.
do they know, that's just me in the house.
Yes. Yes. So going to Mike, where was I before? So what are your ambitions? So
Oh,
what's
well,
next?
I see myself, I want to be just who you go to for your wedding because I
Mm-hmm.
love weddings. There's so much at weddings to capture that it just makes me so happy. Like I just want to be who you call. It's like, oh, I want her to do my wedding. I need her to do my wedding. I just need her to come here to do my wedding because that's what I want.
So that's what so you want that to be your focus, weddings, the go-to
Weddings, the
photographer for
go-to for
weddings.
wedding. Yep.
Wow. Wow. Now, do you get, would you say right now you get a majority of weddings or is still very mixed up?
It's very mixed up. Very mixed up.
What are some things you get besides weddings and I guess birthday parties? What else?
Holiday pictures now,
Holiday.
like around this time, which is like
Mm-hmm.
that's where to kick it in. And I kind of want to get into school photos
Mm-hmm.
because that number one is not that hard, and number two, it's like good work. It's like get your
Mm-hmm.
foot in the door with that. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah,
but school photos is where you get where I find I get majority of the complainers.
got it. Got it. Okay.
But yeah, and I get a lot of individual family like portraits.
Portraits.
I want
Okay.
pictures of my son. I want pictures of my daughter. I want pictures for the holidays, like those right now. And I
Ah,
do it all. I like to do it all. There's nothing that I really don't like to do.
don't like.
Toddlers are challenging, but they're
Mm-hmm.
just so cute. So I just,
Yes.
they never want to sit for a photo. I had one little
Yes.
boy who was throwing ornaments at me, and he had
Oh,
an arm like a professional baseball player, but it didn't matter to me.
yeah.
That didn't bother me because, they're just so cute. I'm like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get the picture.
Uh,
I'm going to
so
get the
I
picture.
think you also need to be very patient.
Patient.
Yeah,
Absolutely. You
very
need to have
patient.
patience for kids.
Yes.
But that's
All
every
types.
day.
All types of
All types of
patience.
kids.
Yes.
All
Yes.
types. You have to have the
Yeah.
utmost patience because
Yeah.
they're going to try you.
Of
They
course.
never want to sit, and
Yes.
you need to stretch. This
Yes.
sounds bad, but when you're taking pictures with kids, you need to get on the ground. You need to like really get at them and then
Yeah.
be ready with your
Yes.
finger ready to go because
Yes.
it's a split second where you
But
get the picture of them.
I think it's cool that I mean it's a field in overall where there's so many things you can go into.
Yeah.
There's like so
Yep.
many different areas that you can go. But it's great that you've identified the area that you really want to
Love.
be
Yeah.
known for and love. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think that I guess going into it, do you think everyone should do that? Do you think it's better to specialize in a specific type, or is it okay to be kind of
Yeah, you don't
mixing
have to specialize. Because if you specialize in one thing, it's like, you know what, I'm just gonna do birthdays. After
Yeah.
a while, you'll get like
Wow.
you don't
Yeah.
want to lose your passion for it because
Got
your
it.
passion for it is what's driving you. That's like that. I feel like that drives great pictures. You know what I mean?
Got it.
Like you love taking pictures of weddings. So you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for that shot of the bride. You're looking for that shot of the mother of the groom. You're looking for that. If you're
Mm-hmm.
just there and it's another party, you're just like snap, snap, snap. And you're not gonna get the feeling behind it because there's a feeling behind pictures for me. That's how I see it. Like when
Yes.
you look at a picture, you can feel what mom was feeling. You
Got
can
it.
like look at the way she look on her face, look at the look on his face.
Got
It's
it.
like you're not trying to get the ugly cry. You're
Yes.
just
Yes.
trying to get that and it's sometimes
Wow.
it's not the focal point of what's happening in the moment. It's the
Mhm.
cousins who haven't seen her forever, like their face when they see, like sometimes it's
Yes.
little things like that. And it's
Yeah.
like you're not gonna get that if you're like tired, your creativity is
Yeah.
like run
Yeah.
down, you're exhausted, you've been doing the same thing. You
Yes.
get to that point where you feel like, oh, it's all the same. And you
Yeah.
don't want to get to that.
Got
So
it.
I say do different things, you'll find something in it. Something
Got
in
it.
that is going to be like, you know what, it's going to awaken something in you as
Yes.
creative. That's how I feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So let's end it off by
Okay.
you telling us, for
Okay.
anyone out there who's thinking about, it could just be starting their own business or getting into photography, what piece of advice would you give them? What would you tell them that you wish maybe somebody would have told you going into it?
Learn as much as you can. Even
Mhm,
things you think you don't need to know just yet. It's like,
mhm,
oh, I'll learn it later. No, just be a sponge in the
mhm,
beginning. Be a sponge. Don't assume you know anything. And
mhm.
that's like really for anything in life. But when it comes to photography, don't assume you know anything. I recently got joined Black women photographers,
That's awesome.
and we went on a photo walk through Brooklyn.
Mhm,
And they're older than me, younger than me, just starting out, been doing it for 20 years. It doesn't
mhm,
matter. They just listening to them
mhm.
and taking it, even now 3 years in, I don't even feel like I'm at a place where I can give so much advice. If you have a question for me, I'll share anything I can tell you, but they had so much to tell because they're from different walks and everybody has something different to offer. And
Yes.
in this field of photography, there's so many different types of cameras. There's so many different types of, like, a different eye for everything. Like,
Mhm.
we were taking pictures of a man swinging on a pole. The differences between each
Wow.
way someone took the photo, the way each woman edited the photo, it's a different eye for
Wow.
everything. So there's
Yeah.
so much inspiration out
Mhm.
there. So if you really love photography, be a sponge. Take
Yes.
in as much as you can because you're gonna find that you're not copying anyone. You're so influenced by everything around you, and you're
Yes.
so influenced by the people that you come across, things that like awaken something in you that you didn't even know that was there when it comes to photography. I like taking pictures of kids.
Mhm.
You're gonna find you like taking pictures of like elderly couples, like something like that.
Mhm.
Anything
Yes.
around you is gonna inspire you. That's
Yes.
why I think. Like, so
That's
when you're
great.
starting out with this, be a
Yeah.
sponge and learn as much as you can because there's so many different intricate little things that you don't even think about. There's
Yes.
one thing to point, shoot the camera, edit the picture. But
Mhm.
how are you going to get it out there?
Yes.
How are you
Yeah.
going to interact with different types of clients? My
Mhm.
mentor was telling me about different types of brides. One day we sat 4 hours talking about different types of brides. That's
Wow.
how much he had to tell me about different types of
Wow.
brides and how you can tell you need to diffuse something before it even starts up. There's little things to learn with every corner of the business.
Got it.
And then
Got it.
there's the business part of it.
Of course.
So just be
So
a
much to
sponge.
learn. So much
Be
to
a
learn. It
sponge. There's
doesn't
so
stop.
much to learn. There's
Yeah.
so many intricate little things that you're not even thinking about. When you're
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna be a photographer, the
That's the
things that
one.
came, I was like, and now I have to do what? And now I have to do what? And now I'm gonna
Yes.
need help. So a lot of times I do feel overwhelmed, but it's like it's just one thing at a time. And I
Yes.
feel accomplished in those one little things at a time.
Exactly. As you should be, because you are
You should be, because
progressing.
it takes a
Yeah.
lot of hard
Yes.
work and it's like be a sponge.
Yes.
Just take it all in
Great advice.
and find
So
a
tell
mentor.
us, yes, of course, find a mentor. Tell us, how do we find, first of all, the name of your business, and how do we find you?
My business is A&N Photos. You could
Okay.
find me on Instagram as A_N photos. And
Mhm.
then it's ANNphotos.com, like my whole website. I
Perfect.
try to update that as much as possible.
Okay, and
Which I need to
you
do.
can be contacted straight through the
You can
website.
contact me through there. My phone number's on there. My email's on
Great.
there. Yes.
Okay,
And
good.
the same information is on both of my Instagrams, my personal and my business one.
Perfect.
I put it all out there.
Thank you so much, Norma. You have
Al,
given
thank you for having me.
great insight. You kept it real with us. Thank
I
you
try to
so
keep it real with
much.
everybody.
Yes, so guys, please, again, if you haven't done so already, please register in Student Pro Connect. You'll find Norma on there. She's registered. Speak to her, chat with her. She'll,
Please.
if you have any specific questions, just log on there and she'll answer your questions. So
I will
please,
happily, happily.
yes, go to the website or download the app. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Norma,
Thank
again.
you. Thank
And
you so much.
yeah, see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.